Good morning. Our today's topic is reduced instruction set computer, okay, abbreviated as RASC. Based on the architecture of computer, okay, based on how things are organized internally, what is the set of instructions the computer have, and what all the registers, okay, how many registers the processor of the computer has. This way, based on the computer architecture, the computers are classified into two types. Okay, one is reduced instruction set computer and complex instruction set computer. Okay, CISC. So what is CISC? A computer with a large number of instructions is classified as a complex instruction set computer. Okay, it has a large number of instructions. When there are large number of instructions, it is possible to perform every operation. The computers are classified based on the number of instructions available in the computer to perform operations. Okay, as reduced instruction set computers and complex instruction set computers. Complex instruction set computer is a computer that has large number of instructions. And what is RASC? The computers that use fewer instructions with simple constructs, so they can be executed much faster, okay, is classified as reduced instruction set computers. These computers have fewer instructions. Okay, the number of instructions available in the computer to perform the operations are very few and with simple constructs. So every instruction, if we see separately the instructions, the format is very simple. Okay, format of the instructions are simple here. So they can be executed much faster. So these type of computers are classified as reduced instruction set computers. So before learning what is RISC, let's look into this CISC, complex instruction set computers. The main characteristics of complex instruction set computers are, as we have seen here, large number of instructions. The number of instructions available in these computers are large. Okay, there are many instructions available. So it is from 100 to 250. So generally 100 to 250 instructions, if the computer has, it is classified as CISC. Okay, complex instruction set. And some instructions that performs specialized tasks and are not used frequently. Okay, it also includes some specialized instructions, okay, which the other computers cannot perform. Okay, that are also available in the CISC, and it has a large variety of addressing modes. When some computers provide fewer addressing modes, okay, less number of addressing modes. And this CISC computers provide large variety of addressing modes and variable length instruction formats. Okay, instruction here may be a 0 address instruction, or it may be a 1 address or a 2 address instruction or a 3 address instruction. Okay, so that in different computers, even in CISC, there is flexibility here. Okay, we can say it, each instruction can have memory access. The address may be a memory reference address, or it may be a register address. Okay, so memory access take more time than accessing data from registers. Okay, and the number of bytes, we know how the number of bytes are allocated for each part of the instruction, right? How many bits are allocated for opcode, and how many bits if it is a register address, and if it is a memory address, how many bits, we know that. Okay, and here as this computers, complex instruction set computers provide the flexibility to have different formats and different addressing modes. So the length varies, variable length instruction formats. Okay, one of the characteristics is variable length instruction formats. and instructions that manipulate operands in memory. Here, this means the manipulation operations such as add and other manipulation operations can use the memory reference. In some computers, in RISC, it is not allowed. Okay, CISC, manipulations can be done on the operands that is stored in memory. Okay, if we write add R1 comma X, this means add the content of R1, register R1 to X. Okay, so here this is direct memory. The manipulation is performed on the memory operand. This is allowed in these computers. Okay, so these are all the special characteristics of CISC, complex instruction set computers. It has a larger number of instructions. Okay, varies from 100 to 250. And here in CISC, there may be instructions that perform specialized tasks. Okay, that are not used frequently. Okay, even instructions that perform specialized tasks are included in this. And large variety of addressing modes are used. Variable length instruction formats. Okay, instructions with variable length, because it can be, any instruction can have register address or memory address, and it can have different addressing modes, even different types of instructions with 0 address, 1 address, or 2 address, 3 address instructions are allowed here. Okay, so it can have every instruction with variable length instruction formats are used in this, and instruction that manipulate operands in memory. Okay, such as this operation. Directly, the operation manipulations can be performed on the operand in memory. These are all the special characteristics of CISC. So here the main goal of this CISC, why we have this complex instruction set, why we need this complex instruction set in this computers. Okay, when the instruction set, when the number of instructions are more, it becomes more complex. Okay, here the main goal of this CISC architecture is to provide a single machine instruction for each high-level language instruction. When we write program in high-level language, when we use a programming language and we write instructions, the compiler's job is to translate the instructions written in high-level language to machine language. Okay, when during this translation, if the computer does not support complex instruction format, okay, if there is no flexibility of using the instruction in different ways, it is the compilation becomes more complex. Okay, one statement, if suppose a statement, high-level language statement to perform some operation is given, if we have, if that statement can be translated directly into a machine language, a single statement in machine language can be written for that, the compilation would be easy, correct? Directly high-level language statement can be converted. Okay, it is, so here the CISC architecture aim to do that, okay, aim to make the compilation simple. The characteristics of reduced instruction set computers are relatively few instructions. Okay, there in CISC we have large number of instructions. In this we have few instructions and few addressing modes. Okay, there we learned that it provides a variety of addressing modes, but here only few addressing modes. Okay, instructions, the formats are restricted here. In some kind of instructions, only register address can be used, and in some kind of instructions only no memory access is allowed. This way the format is reduced, the set of instructions are reduced here. And the third characteristics, memory access is limited to load and store instructions. Okay, so load and store instructions only can have memory address. Okay, because load is to load the register with the memory operand, right? The meaning of this load instruction, okay, what this load performs, it loads the register given in the instruction with the memory operand. Same way, store, this is the instruction specifically used to store the content of register into memory. In some memory location, if we want to store the data that is in the register, we use store instruction. So here memory access is needed anyway. Okay, so only in these instructions memory access is allowed. Memory address can be included only in these instructions. All the next characteristics, all operations done within the registers of the CPU. Okay, all the other operations except this load and store operations are restricted within the registers. We cannot add the register operand with the memory operand as we do in the other architecture, CISC architecture. Okay, there is flexibility. The instruction format allows that. Okay, but in RISC it is restricted. All the operations are done within the registers of the CPU. Okay, so load can be written with, if suppose we want to perform addition of A and B. Okay, and we want to store the result in C. Okay, let's say this is our instruction that we want to, this is the operation we want to perform here. Okay, if it is CISC, okay, in CISC architecture, this instruction may be written using an add statement if the computer allows three address. If it is if the computer allows 3 address instructions, and in some computers, even in 3 address instructions, only 2 memory access is allowed. Okay, the instruction format differs. As I already told you, the instruction format and the address, okay, the addressing modes all differ from computer to computer. That depends on the processor the computer is using. So if 3 memory access is allowed in a computer, okay, CISC, it is written as, yes, we can use write a single instruction, add C A comma B. The meaning of this instruction is memory operand A plus memory operand B. Okay, memory word at location A and memory location at B, okay, is added and moved to memory word at location C. So in memory at this particular location, we will have the result. Okay, or if the CISC computer that provides only 2 address. Okay, how this instruction can be written? We cannot use 3 address. Then in that case, it can be written as, we need to first load, right? Let's load the load one operand A into register R1. Okay, and we can write the instruction add A is in R1, so R1 comma B. So this adds, performs A plus B, and the result we get in C. Result is in R1 now. Then we write the instruction store C. Okay, in memory location C, the content of R1. Okay, this way we write the instruction in CISC. But if RISC is used, okay, this is for to address. Let's how this can be written using RISC. First, we need to load we cannot perform these operations directly as we do in CISC. So these memory operands A and B need to be moved to registers first. So we need to first load one operand A to register R1. And we can't write add R1 comma B. Okay, B is a memory operand. Okay, only register address can be given in manipulation instructions. So we need to load B also, the other operand also in some register. So let's take R2 and load the content of B into R2. And then now addition, as we have A in R1 and B in R2. Okay, in 2 registers we can perform addition. Okay, so add R1, the format to add R1 and R2 and to store the result in R1 is R1 comma R1 comma R2. Okay, so this adds R1 and R2 and stores it in R1. Okay, so this is the add instruction. And then now the result is in R1. So to move it to memory, what we do? We write store. store in memory location C the content of R1. Okay, so these 4 instructions are needed to perform this operation in using this RISC architecture. Okay, computer with RISC architecture, we need to write this way. Okay, load and store can have memory access. All the manipulations are done within the CPU registers only. Okay, this way. And the 5th characteristics, fixed length, easily decoded instruction format. How is it fixed length? In RISC computers, it cannot have 0 address, 1 address instructions. Okay, RISC instructions are limited to 2 address or 3 address instructions. Only we can have 2 address, okay, in case of memory reference, and 3 address in case of register reference. When there are complete register reference, manipulation instructions will have 3 address, and load and store instructions will have 2 address. The length of the instructions are same, okay, fixed length instructions, and it is easily decoded. Okay, it can be decoded easily as it has a fixed length and a specific format. The decoding of the instructions is easy. And single cycle instruction execution. These instructions are executed. These are performed faster. Okay, if we see this, it has a simple instruction. Okay, simple construct. The format is very simple here. And it can be executed in a single instruction cycle. Okay, single cycle instruction execution. And these are hardwired rather than microprogrammed control. In microprogrammed control, the control informations, okay, control instructions are stored in the control memory and through which the instructions are controlled, the operations are controlled. But here it is hardware controlled, okay. It takes less time to perform the operations than microprogrammed control. So these are all the special characteristics of reduced instruction set computers. We have relatively few instructions and few addressing modes. And when we see the instructions, the memory access is limited to load and store instructions. All the other instructions, okay, the other operations are done within the registers of the CPU. Instructions have fixed length and they are easily decoded, and single cycle instruction execution, hardware rather than microprogrammed control. So here we have some other special characteristics of RISC. Relatively large numbers of registers. Why we need large number of registers in the processor unit in RISC? Because all the manipulations are done only in the registers. So every memory operand, if the operation A plus B need to be performed, the memory operand, the memory, the data that is in memory locations A and B need to be moved to registers first. And operations can be done only in registers. So we need large number of registers. Okay, so relatively large number of registers in the processor unit in RISC architecture computers. Okay, and use of overlapped register windows to speed up procedure call and return. Okay, we are going to discuss about this in detail. And efficient instruction pipeline. Okay, pipeline is the process. You need to note this term, pipeline. Pipelining is the a procedure used to, here we have learned that it is a single instruction, single cycle execution, right? Okay, this RISC computers performs the single cycle instruction execution by overlapping the phases of the instruction execution. Okay, it overlaps the fetch, decode, and execute phases of 2-3 instructions. Okay, meaning doing these operations parallelly. Okay, so that it can be finished faster. Okay, this procedure is called as pipelining. Okay, pipelining is a procedure that is used by RISC computers to overlap the phases, fetch, decode, and execute phases of instructions. Okay, so using this special feature, okay, the instructions are executed faster here. And compiler support. It provides efficient translation of high-level language programs into machine language programs. So here we have seen that it has large number of registers, and the pipelining is okay. This procedure is used in RAC computers, okay, for faster execution of instructions. This is one of the special feature, and also efficient translation of instructions, high-level language instructions to machine language. And coming to the second point, use of overlapped register windows to speed up the procedure call and return. Consider there is a procedure call. So what all the operations that are done before the control branches to the procedure to execute? First, the register values need to be stored, right? If there is a procedure A, okay, let's say there is a procedure A, and here we have the instructions, and there is a call. Okay, there is a call statement that calls procedure B. We have procedure B here. Okay, some statements. So when this call statement is executed, okay, when during this execution of call statement in this procedure A, what all the operations need to be done? The procedure A may have some local variables, right? So the values need to be stored in the registers. And the return address, after execution of procedure B, the control has to return back. So the return address is stored. And there may be variables, okay, the call may include some passing of parameters to B. Okay, so that case, it has to include those parameters. Okay, these are the values, data that are shared by procedure A and B, correct? Okay, when the procedure call involves some parameters. Okay, the procedure A will pass these parameters, these values to procedure B. So this passing of parameters, this is one operation, and then branching to this particular address, okay, to execute the statements in procedure B. Branching to this location means taking the control to that location to execute, and then execution of these instructions. Once this execution is done, okay, return back to this place, correct, to execute the next instruction. Before returning, it has to restore the values that are stored, right? Before branching, the values are stored in the registers that need to be, including the return address, correct, need to be restored. And then the control branches to the actual location. So it's a very time-taking procedure, correct? Okay, there are so many operations. The local variables need to be stored, and the return address need to be stored in some registers, okay, or in memory location. And the control has to branch to the procedure, passing the variables, okay, passing the parameters and execution of those instructions in the procedure, then restoring the values, okay, restoring the return address and the other local values that procedure A needs to execute, and branching to the actual actual address, okay, to the called location. So these are all the operations that are involved. So here, this RASC architecture, okay, the RASC architecture computers use this overlapped register windows, okay. Overlapped register windows it is a concept of using the registers, commonly using the registers for many procedures. Let's see this here. Okay, this explains the overlapped register window concept. Here we have registers R0 to R9. Okay, these are all the global registers. Registers R0 to R9 are global registers. Global means the registers that are assigned, okay, that can be accessed by all the procedures. Okay, we have procedures. There are 4 procedures here: procedure A, procedure B, procedure C, and procedure D. Okay, all these procedures need to access the registers to store values and to get back the values. Okay, so there are some 10 registers, right? R0 to R9. These 10 registers are kept common for all the procedures. Okay, so all the procedures can use this commonly. And we have, if you see this procedure A, okay, and what I'm marking here, this one, okay, this set of procedures R16 to R20, sorry, registers. These set of registers R16 to R25. Okay, it is assigned to procedure A. Okay, these are local registers to procedure A. Means what? The local procedure A can store its local variables, okay, which are only no, with the variables that are used only inside the procedure, okay, are stored in these registers. Okay, we call it register bank, a group of registers, okay, set of registers. So these are the set of registers R16 to R25 that is assigned to A, okay, local to A. And for procedure B, there are some local registers R32 to R41. These are local registers to B, only allocated to B. And for procedure C, we have R48 to R57. These are local to C. And R64 to R73. These are local to procedure D. And we have other common registers. Okay, if you see this R26 to R31. Okay, these are common to A and B. Okay, registers common to A and B are R26 to R31. And registers here R10 to R15 are common to procedure A and D. Okay, and here, yeah, registers R42 to R47 are common to B and C. And then 58 to 63 are common to C and D. And again R10 to 15. Okay, these registers, sorry. Yeah, these set of registers R15 to R10, we have the same here. So it is a circular arrangement of registers. Okay, here at the initially we have procedure A, and at the end we have procedure D. Okay, the last set of this procedure is D. Okay, this uses the registers that are common to D and A are R0, R10 to R15. Okay, we have it here. Okay, so this way the registers are assigned. Okay, because there are different procedures. They need to have their own registers for storing the local variables that are belonged only to those procedures. Okay, registers R0 to R9 are, yes, global registers, common to all procedures. Okay, so after 9, 10, from 10 to 15 are the registers common to A and D, procedure D. Okay, and we have other set of common registers for A and B, and then common registers for B and C. So when procedure A calls procedure B, okay, how this procedure call can be simplified here. We discussed that before procedure call, the variables, no data that are local to that particular procedure need to be stored, and passing of parameters also need to be done. But here, as there are common registers, when procedure A calls procedure B, the data that are common to both A and B, procedure B, are stored in this particular set of registers. The registers that are common to A and B. Okay, so there is no need to pass parameters here, because B can access directly these data. These are the common data that is common for A and B. Only the local variables of A is stored in this local registers. Otherwise, when procedure A calls procedure B, no, if the data that are common to both the procedures are stored in these set of registers, the access would be easy. Okay, procedure A and B both can access the data that is stored in the registers. Okay, this way, even when procedure B calls procedure C, Okay, there may be some data that are commonly used by procedures B and C that are stored in these common registers R42 to R47. It can be accessed by procedure B and C. Okay, this way the procedure call can be simplified using this overlapping window. Okay, here what we call a window is the combination of one set of local registers and two groups of common registers. Okay, is called a window. And here, two group of common registers and one local register. The register is local to C and common to C and D and common to B and C. Okay, same way here, the registers that are common to D and A and common to D and this forms a window. Okay, and here this. Okay, by overlapping of these register windows, it is possible to make the procedure calls easy. Okay, we have 4 windows in this register organization. Okay, it is a circular arrangement of registers. Procedure A and procedure D here. The common registers are here in both the ends for procedure A and the registers that are common to procedure A and B. Okay, you find in both these ends, R10 to R15. And here in this register arrangement, number of global registers, okay, are designated as G. Okay, what is this? Number of global registers. Here we have global registers R0 to R9. It is denoted as G here. And number of local registers in each window is L. Okay, in each window, there are 4 windows here. If you take the local registers in each window, okay, that is denoted as L. This is G and this is the local windows. Okay, local registers are denoted as L. Okay, 4 set of local registers for 4 procedures. And number of registers common to 2 windows are denoted here as C. Okay, the common registers. Common registers are, this is a set of common register, and here we have a set of common registers, here common to A and B, and this one. Okay, both these common to A and D. Okay, together forms one set of registers, R10 to R15. And the number of windows, okay, number of windows is denoted here as W. Okay, now how many, what is G here? Number of global registers, it is R0 to R9, 10 registers. Okay, so it is 10, G is 10. And what is L? L is the number of local registers in each window. Okay, in each window we have here R16 to R25. Okay, so how many local registers are there in each window? 10. Okay, and in this window, if you see R32 to R41, okay, 10 registers. So number of local registers, L is 10 here. And what is C? C is the common registers. Number of common registers registers that are common to 2 windows. Okay, so here the number of registers here in the common register set are R52 to R63. Okay, so it is 6. Okay, in every common register set, we have 6 registers and the number of windows are 4. So how we find the window size? Okay, window size is calculated as L plus 2C plus G. Okay, what is one window size? We are calculating one window size. Window size is number of registers available for each procedure. Okay, window size is L plus 2C plus G. Okay, what is L? L is 10 plus 2C. Okay, because every window has 2 common set of registers. Each has 6. Okay, so we multiply this with 2. 2 into 6 plus G. Okay, every procedure also has these 10 registers as common. Okay, so we add this. Okay, so this gives the total number of registers available for each procedure. Each procedure has its own local registers L, that is 10, plus 2 common set of registers. Okay, so we multiply 6 by 2, plus every procedure has 10 global registers. Okay, so we add 10 to this. So this gives 20, this is 1232. Okay, so total number of registers available for each procedure are 32. Okay, that we call a window size. Okay, window size, that is the number of registers available for each procedure. And register file. Okay, register file means the total number of registers available. Total number of registers available is all local registers plus common registers plus the global registers. Okay, so L is here L plus C into W. L is 10 plus C is 6. Multiply this by 4 because we have 4 windows. Every window has 10 local and 6 common registers. Okay, so 10 plus 6 into 4 plus there are 10 global registers G. Okay, so it is 16 by 4 is 64 plus 10, it is 74. So the total number of registers are 74. Yeah, correct. 528 answered it. Yeah, it is 74. Okay, total number of registers are 74. Okay, so here we have seen this overlapped register window arrangement. Okay, that is used in RISC computers to simplify the procedure call. I hope this is clear. Any doubts? How number of windows is equal to 4? Yeah, number of window. One window is the group of 2 common registers, 2 common set of registers and okay, 1 local set of register. Okay, what I have circled here, okay, enclosed in this circle is a window. One window is if you take procedure A has local registers R10 to R25 and common registers that are common between A and B are 26 to 31. And here another set of common registers that are common for procedures A and D. Okay, so these together, all these together, okay, form a window. This is a window. And the second window is every window will have 2 common set of registers and 1 local set of registers. Okay, here for procedure B, the local registers are R32 to R41 and 2 common set of registers. One is common between B and C and the other one is common between A and B. Okay, so this forms a window. This way there are 4 windows. Okay.